What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 129 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Today, I want to talk to you about another tie-in to the Marvel Comics big crossover event of the mid-2000s, House of M. Today, I will be talking about Spider-Man, House of M. This is a 5-issue miniseries written by Mark Waid with art chores by Salvador Larroca. And this is a very interesting story that feels more consistent with the House of M world than the Incredible Hulk tie-in did that I talked about yesterday. But at the same time, there are things about this that make me think that Mark Waid wanted to do a very weird, trippy Spider-Man Elseworld type story, and he just happened to take House of M as the opportunity to tell that story. Because there are things about this that don't actually work in the context of the House of M world. And I'm going to go ahead and spoil the events of this book because it's going to be very difficult for me to talk about this without spoiling it. So if you haven't read this, go ahead and turn this video off right now. So basically, Spider-Man in this reality, he is living on Easy Street. He's married to Gwen Stacy. He has a kid. He's a scientist slash businessman slash wrestler. He's a movie star. He has the good life. And he is passing himself off as a mutant, which in this reality, that's a big deal. If you're a mutant, you are hot stuff. If you're a human being, you could have a good life. There are some human beings in this world who have an okay life, but they do not have as good of a life as the mutants. And then there are some human beings who are hunted down and murdered in the streets. But Spider-Man is passing himself off as a mutant. And then in this story, we have the Green Goblin. He reveals to J. Jonah Jameson that Peter Parker is actually a human being. And then J. Jonah Jameson reveals it to the rest of the world, and then Spider-Man's life falls apart. And you would think that would be the premise of the story, but then we get a big twist in the middle of the story that, here's the huge spoiler here, Peter Parker is actually the Green Goblin, and he is self-sabotaging himself because he feels guilty about something. We are never really told what he feels guilty about, but he has memories of stuff that happened in the main Marvel Universe. He remembers his Uncle Ben dying, Captain Stacy dying, and Gwen Stacy dying, and being married to Mary Jane Watson. He remembers all of that. I don't know how or why he has those memories. That makes absolutely no sense, and it's never explained why he has those memories. He doesn't even think that those are real memories. He thinks that those are just fantasies that he came up with in his mind. And like I said, it makes no sense. In the main House of M book, Wolverine had memories of the previous life that he had because that was what he always wanted. The whole thing behind the House of M story was that every character got the life that they wanted, or a very close approximation of it. And that's what Spider-Man has here. He's married to his first love. All the people who died that were very close to him, they're all still alive. He has a life of fame and fortune. That's what he always wanted, at least before his Uncle Ben died. And so he has that, but it doesn't make any sense that he remembers his previous life. That was the thing that Wolverine wanted. He always wanted to have all of his memories, so in the House of M reality, he does have his memories. That's why he had those memories, but that does not apply to Spider-Man. So it's really weird that he has those memories. Also, I like the idea that Spider-Man is also the Green Goblin and that he's really messed up in the head and that he's messing up his own life. I like that idea, but I don't think that it's built up to enough here. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and just as soon as we get that reveal, it's pretty much instantly thrown away, and we don't do anything else with that. After we find out that Peter is the Green Goblin, he's pretty much normal and okay after that. He seems really messed up and creepy and weird and twisted once we find out that he's a Green Goblin, and then after we find out, it's like, okay, let's get rid of that twist, and we're not going to do anything else with it. It just seemed like it was something there to kind of make this be a memorable graphic novel. Like, how do we make this really stand out among all these other House of M stories? Let's have Peter Parker be the actual Green Goblin here. I like that idea, but I wish they had done something with it. Also, since I'm already spoiling stuff here, I don't understand how this book fits in with the main House of M book. This one ends with Peter faking his death and then running away with his family, and they basically have a happy ending. They're living on a lake somewhere, they're all just having the good life, and Peter no longer has to worry about shouldering all the responsibilities that he had when he was a famous celebrity, which I don't even know what responsibilities he actually had when he was a celebrity, which, by the way, let me just go ahead and go on a sidetrack there. Spider-Man in this reality is kind of a jerk, and I've always known that Spider-Man was a jerk before his Uncle Ben died, but here in this reality, his Uncle Ben never died, so Spider-Man is a jerk, like, all the time. He treats J. Jonah Jameson like garbage, and so when J. Jonah Jameson reveals to the world that Peter is a human, I kind of have it, I feel like Peter has it coming. That's something that I don't really feel sorry for Peter at all whenever all this stuff starts happening to him. But anyway, at the end of this book, Peter and his family, they are kind of secreted away somewhere, and Peter has faked his death, and he's living the good life. But that doesn't fit with what happened in the House of M book, because Peter is with the rest of the Avengers when they besiege Magneto's palace at the end of House of M, and I don't understand why or how Peter would join those guys in House of M. He is already living the perfect life at the end of this book. He has his family, they love him, he loves them. There is absolutely no reason that he would join a bunch of weird people that he has never met before when they say, hey, we want to end this reality and we want to go back to another reality where our lives suck. There is absolutely no reason that Spider-Man would join those guys, and yet somehow, after the events of this book, he does join those guys, and he goes to Magneto's palace with them, and then House of M ends, and then he goes back to the main Marvel Universe and has memories of this reality. Which, by the way, Spider-Man should be, like, clinically insane after the events of House of M, because he now has memories of another life where his old ex-girlfriend, or his girlfriend who's now dead, was married to him, and he basically fantasized that he was not married to his actual wife. He should be like really messed up in the head after having those memories along with the memories of the main Marvel Universe. That should have been something that really messed with him like to this day, but all the writers after House of M pretty much just instantly swept all that under the rug. But that's neither here nor there. Overall, I know I'm kind of been all over the place on this review. I really like some of the ideas here, but unfortunately, this just does not work as a tie-in to House of M, and even by itself, it just doesn't really work. That whole Green Goblin twist was probably my favorite thing about this book, but it's also the one thing that just doesn't really work here. It's really clunky the way that it's given to us, and then as soon as it's given to us, it's just kind of abandoned. And I really wish that they had found a better way to make it work. Maybe if this had been a little bit of a longer story, maybe if this had been its own separate alternate reality that wasn't connected to the House of M world, that could have been really interesting to explore in like a 12-issue miniseries where we get to see Peter has the perfect life and then he's trying to tear it all down because he feels guilty about something that we could actually explore. Unfortunately, I don't think that this is a great story, but it's not a horrible story either. I think it's just kind of a mediocre story, which hurts me to say that because this is a creative team that's very talented and very solid most of the time. But unfortunately here, I just don't think this is the best work of, at least the story isn't the best work of Mark Waid. I think the art by LaRocca is pretty solid and it's about on par with most of the stuff that he does. So those are my somewhat extended thoughts on Spider-Man House of M by Waid and LaRocca from Marvel Comics, and that's about all that I have to say about this book today. I hope that you guys liked this video, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different kind of video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.